Welcome to another video, guys. Today I'm gonna be giving you 5 super budget decks with which you can be climbing in Hearthstone right now. All of these decks will be 4,000 dust or less, and most of them also contain Ziliax, so if you already have that, which you honestly should, they're gonna be even cheaper for you. So if you're serious about Hearthstone, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching. Now, let's check out the decks.
You are not prepared!
Best budget decks or not, we're obviously gonna have to start with Aggro Demon Hunter, because right now this is basically the best deck in the game right now, and there are actually plenty of cheap variants, and this is pretty much close to an optimal variant too, albeit it doesn't run Ziliax, which is definitely a big deal in the deck, and it can single-handedly win you games. Most of this deck is basically standard stuff, but we are having a few interesting inclusions, like things like Glacial Shard, which is gonna help you in the mirror matchups, as well as things like Odin Warriors. And all around, you will be able to freeze a lot of different things so you can control the board better, or you can also control the opponent's face. We have a couple of Illidari studies which can give you some nice outcast things, and we're basically losing the mech packaging here, and instead we still have the Miracle Salesman, which are part of basically any deck, and we also have a couple of Vicious Slitter Spears, which if stuck, could actually deal a good amount of damage with all of your spells. We're also having a couple of Chaos Strikes helping you with the cycle, as well as a little bit of extra damage, but the rest of the deck looks pretty much the same like the other ones. As you can see, this variant is super cheap, under 2500 dust, and it has a big sample size with plenty of win rate to go with it as well, so it's very close to being optimal, but you can definitely check out my top 5 Demon Hunter if you want to be getting the best performing Aggro Demon Hunter right now, which does indeed include Ziliax. We even have matchups in this one. As you can see, you don't really have any bad ones from the popular ones. And as for the mulligans, we're gonna go look at it real quick. The stats are decent enough for you to have a good idea. You're never gonna hold on to Metamorphosis, that's for sure. When going first, Instrument Deck and the weapon are always gonna be great. Vicious Splitter Spear or your Miracle Salesman are nice. Don't keep more than one drop, however, especially if you already don't have your weapon or instrument deck, because that's your main game plan. And yeah, the rest, you're gonna have to have a very good reason to hold on to anything else. As for on the coin, the situation is similar. Basically, name of the game is find your weapon and start getting some of those window shoppers, and that usually pans out very nicely for you. Like I said, the deck is under 2500, but if you want to be making it optimally, we can see some of the best performers here, and the first with a big enough sample size is only 0.5% better, but it does cost like 3,000 more dust over, so yeah, definitely is a little bit more of an investment, and it is running Ziliax, so still pretty good deck, but there is a little bit of room to improve it. On the number 2 spot, we have Flood Paladin, which is still a pretty decent deck to be climbing with. This one has 55% win rate, but again, over 1,300 games, and it's a little less than 4,000 dust. But it does indeed include Ziliax in here, so like I said, it's really a no-brainer. And I'm actually thinking that Ziliax amplifies the cost twice. Like, is this thing counting it twice? When you go to overview, it says it has 2 legendaries, but Ziliax is the only legendary, so I think it's actually even less than that. But yeah, the deck looks pretty solid, decent win rate, and very cheap, so definitely worth a check. Here's what the deck consists of. You're basically flooding the board with a bunch of 1-drops. You have your Boogie Down to pull them out of your deck quicker. It's only a single copy of Boogie Down. That's a little bit weird, honestly, but you're not really gonna get a better second Boogie Down. But still, I'd say you could make a case about having 2 just so you can find 1 more consistently. We have Hands of a Doll in terms of buffs. Hi-Ho is pretty decent, giving you that cycle as well as a sticky minion. Mining Casualties is nice. With the Showdown, you can do some pretty sick stuff, helping you drop Sea Giants literally as soon as turn 2 if you're lucky. You can also have Prismatic Beam to clear their shit, so you can actually stick those 3/3s, which is hella nice. Or you could also prematurely play your Crusader Aura, and once you play Showdown, your idiots suddenly become 5/4s, and after you've done the trades, they're gonna be 5/1s, so they're still gonna be on the board and posing a meaningful threat. Muster for Battle helps you go wider. Trinket Artist helps you draw out your auras as well as Divine Shield minions. Boogie Down helps with the Fin Out. This is your only auras in the deck. Flash Sale is a pretty nice buff. It buffs all of the minions on the board. And it also summons you a 2/4 Divine Shield mech, so that's pretty nice on its own. Tigress Plushie is still hella fine. And the Ziliax in here is costs 1 less, and it's also +1/+1. Matchup-wise for the Flood Pally, here's what the stats show. You're gonna be somewhat 50-50 against Shopper Demon Hunter, Wheel Warlock, and Highlander Warrior, as well as Rainbow Death Knight are not gonna be super good for you, however. but all around it does still look quite decent. As for the mulligan, here's what it looks like going first. The stats are a little bit muddied up. I would definitely be looking for Boogie Down, not gonna lie. Like, it's still a hella fine card, and still most people are holding on to it, especially with a single copy. I'd say it's gonna be premium for you. But yeah, here's what the stats show. As for on the coin, it's not much different, but Boogie Down becomes even more insane here, because turn 3 triple 1-drops is usually pretty good. If you want to make the best Pally deck right now, there's also Hand Buff Pally still doing fine, but no, it's an entirely different concept, so the best performing Flood Pally right now is actually hella cheap. So if you're going to be going Pally and you're on a tight budget, this would be the deck for you. On the number 3 spot, we actually have Ziliax Rogue, which is another archetype that has been popping out lately, and it's a pretty disgusting strategy, honestly. Like, you stick a Ziliax nice and early, it starts doubling up its attack, you start magnetizing on it, and it remains stealth, elusive, poisonous, and reborn, and that's hella annoying. So this way you can actually OTK people literally as soon as turn 4 if you get lucky with the Wind Fury module and whatnot. This particular variant has 55% win rate, 2300 games, definitely nothing to scoff at. And yeah, it consists of a lot of cheap spells, helps you with the cycle and whatnot. You have a bunch of mechs, including a spider with which you can make your Zilly stealth again after you've slapped the opponent nicely. We have a couple of quick picks so you can draw faster, saps so you can help yourself to the opponent's face when you feel like their taunt needs to get back. And we also have some curveballs thrown in here, like with things like Dart Throw, which honestly you could probably lose, because it's a couple of epics. If we're on a tight budget, I don't think this card is doing all that much. But it can definitely also help you, giving you a bunch of coins and whatnot. You also have Silence, which works like the sap, removing the opponent's taunts from the way. And yeah, this way you can basically make some very massive Ziliaxes hella fast. For the rogue matchups, here's what the stats show. Shopper Demon Hunter is a little bit 50-50, but everything else looks pretty favorable, or at least 50-50 again, so winning should not be that hard for you. As for the mulligan, here's what the stats show going first. The pit stop definitely makes a lot of sense. Frequency Oscillator helps you drop Zilly even quicker. Quick pick is nice. Zilly is obviously always going to be a great pick for you as well. Gear Shift might help you out, I guess. Dig for Treasure can also be decent, helping you find your important minions. And yeah, the rest is kind of situational. As for when on the coin, it's not much different, honestly. So yeah, mulligan accordingly. The optimal variant of rogues right now, that's pretty much it, honestly. Like, there is a similar variant that's also running Tealin, but the sample size for it is hella low, so yeah, you're still probably better off with this one. It's nice and cheap, and it gets the job done. On the number 4 spot, we have a super cheap Nature Shaman here, like it's less than 1600 dust if I remember correctly. Yeah, pretty much close to that, 1640. The win rate is not super amazing, but it is not a simple deck to pilot well, so it might be a skill issue as well. The deck did recently get nerfed, so it is going to be a bit harder to actually pilot it decently well. And there is a better performing, a little bit more expensive, however, variant. I mean, 3 times more expensive, we've got to be honest. But 2700 games, 55% win rate, definitely worth taking a look at. It's running the Titan, so that's definitely a card that is going to be improving your deck. And it's also running Fizzle, which I guess maybe it is going to help you against the slow control matchups. But yeah, we're talking about the budget variant right now, which is this one, 52.6, 1200 games. So yeah, if you're on a budget, it is still gonna allow it to climb as long as you play the deck well. It's basically an OTK deck. You gotta get a really good amount of spell power with your Novice Zappers, Blood Mage Talnos. And with the help of Flash of Lightning, you get to play a bunch of 0-mana spells nice and easily, and basically OTK the opponent. We also have a couple of Kobold Geomancers in terms of spell power. So all you gotta do is play a bunch of spell power idiots, and after that start spamming some Light Bolts, and some Crash of Thunders, and that's also going face, usually for 0 mana. So yeah, what the deck does is you draw tons of cards in the early few turns, you try not to fall on the board too far, and after that, try to finish the opponent, usually around turn 6, maybe turn 7 now after the nerf, with all of the spell power and a bunch of cheap spells. For the matchups, here's what it shows. You're not going to be great against things like Highlander Warrior because they're going to gain tons of armor, and Shopper Demon Hunter is a little bit too quick, but from the popular matchups, Rainbow DKs and Plague DKs should be fine. As for the mulligan, honestly, we're just going to have to look at the stats. Not really going to be able to put too much input here, but you're probably going to want your card draw. Your Miracle Salesman also gives you 0 mana. Empowered spells with spell power spells easily. Gold Banner's nice. The Deputy can double up your spells and whatnot. This is gonna be a nice target for the opponent to be killing while giving you armor and card draw. So yeah, and when on the coin, it's not much different. The Spirit Claw becomes a lot more keepable here apparently. Wand Maker's fine, and still the card draw basically. And lastly, we have the cheapest deck, albeit not with that much win rate, but we are actually seeing Elemental Mage doing quite well for the price it has on it. It literally costs less than a single legendary, sitting at 1240 dust right now, and it has 52.5% win rate, so nothing to scoff at for sure. The deck consists of basically almost only elementals, but you also have a few burn spells in the form of Molten Runes, which can give you any kinds of spells, a couple of fireballs, and that's about it for your spells. The rest is a bunch of elementals, so it's a pretty straightforward, fundamental Hearthstone deck. You win the board, slap him a little, and when you lose the board, you basically try to burn him with fireballs and molten runes. Matchup-wise, you're not going to be great against Shopper Demon Hunter, Warriors are not going to be your friends, Zarimi Priest is a little bit on the negative, but the rest looks 50-50 or kinda above. As for the mulligan, you're going to be trying to curve out, basically. Synthesize is going to help you with a bunch of elementals, so that's another spell that can help you out. And yeah, the rest is gonna be elementals on curve kind of deal, and it's the same situation going second most probably as well. We don't really have other variations of Elemental Mage right now, so this is probably your best bet if you really want to be playing Elemental Mage, because the best performing mage decks are gonna be Rainbow Sith Mages, and those cost plenty more. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Hope this helps you figure out what you want to be playing in the current Hearthstone meta on a budget. If you're serious about Hearthstone and find what I'm doing helpful, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget you can academy for some Hearthstone coaching. Thanks for watching, I'm Chris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.